Boston College, recruiting is ready to take the next jump as official visit season is here. We get some big targets, and we're going to talk all about them on today's show.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College. I'm your host, AJ Black, editor of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 Network. This episode is brought to you by Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, and Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Check them all out today at nissanusa.com. We get a packed episode, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday. We're going to talk football recruiting. I'll look at the official visitors that are coming. You're going to want to need to know who they are and why they're important. We're going to look at hockey's big weekend on Friday with their win against Michigan Tech, and we're going to end it off with some baseball talk. It's been a while, but baseball is on a little bit of a hot streak this weekend. We'll explain what happened in our final segment. So let's kick this off with recruiting. BC has 3 commitments right now in the class of 2025, 2 of them coming under Bill O'Brien, being athlete/linebacker Griffin Collins out of Worcester and wide receiver Nedrick Bolden, cousin of Anquan Bolden, out of Florida. And Nolan James, who committed under Jeff Hafley, who they're going to keep as well. He's running back out of DePaul Catholic in New Jersey. Now you're into right now. Football is in unofficial visit season. That's where kids come to campus. They're paying their way to visit. You see a lot of guys that are usually, I would say, like Ohio over, that come over and check things out. And maybe sometimes no lower than DC, because you got to pay for it on your own dime. It's expensive. You know, if you're going to take 5, 6, 7 unofficial visits, you want it to be close because you're going to have to pay tickets and play fares, so all that's right. But behind the scenes as well, BC has also made connections with other kids that have not visited yet. And these kids are sometimes further away. And they will come for the official visits. Now, these official visits are 2 big things here. They're showcasing that, the official visit season usually happens in June. It's the 4 weeks. It's like the last of May into right around the 4th of July. And these kids are the kids that are taking Boston College seriously. They're not just, posting a Twitter post about how excited they are about BC. They're actually walking the walk and talking the talk about the Eagles. And they're going to come, and BC pays for them to come because they are interested to check out the school. These are the kids that, in many cases, are the ones that end up committing to BC. And that weekend, those weekends in June, are going to fill up a majority of the class of 2025. Well, Bill O'Brien may be different, but at least under Steve Adazio and Jeff Hafley, that weekend was always a big one, and one where you would get a majority of your commitments. So, it's Easter weekend, and I was expecting a quiet weekend in BC's football activity because the football team is off for Easter. They didn't have practice since, I think, Wednesday. And recruiting, they weren't going to have recruits on campus, so I figured it was just going to be quiet. Well, I was dead wrong, because on Saturday, the reason why I decided to really kind of jump live, because I missed Friday's episode because of travel, and I wanted to make sure I got this episode out to you today. The first group of official visitors started to roll out their photoshops of their invitation. So, you get the cool little, if you go on Twitter, you can see some of them. I retweeted a bunch. These are the kids that are now acknowledging, and it's just the first weekend. It's that, I think, May 29th through June 2nd that they're going to be on campus. So you get to know who these players are. And if you follow along on Eagle Insider, God, I'm going back like 5 years there, you'll know some of the names. And the first big name that's coming, and one that's really important, is Bryce Lewis. Bryce Lewis is a 6'6" athlete from Georgia. And if his name sounds familiar, it's because he's the son of defensive coordinator Tim Lewis. Now, Bryce Lewis was an interesting recruit because he was committed to Arizona just 3, 4, 5 days ago. And he backed off of that. And he's got a lot of big offers. Uh, if you were to look up Bryce Lewis, you'd see he's got a list that would really impress you. He's from Georgia. He's got offers from, pulling him up right now, Kansas, Duke, Arizona, Maryland, Tennessee. Not Tennessee. Sorry, yes, Tennessee, Maryland, and Kansas State. And there's been some SEC schools too, other SEC schools that have been floating around as well. I love this one because he is a borderline 4-star recruit, folks. He could play either defensive end or outside linebacker on defense or tight end. I asked him, I said, what are they recruiting you as? And he said, as an athlete, they're leaving things open. I would imagine his dad would want to have him on defense, right? Like, wouldn't that be cool to teach your kid? But he's one of the highest ranked recruits that BC, I believe, on the 247 scale are recruiting. He's rated an 87 right now, a 3-star. I think that went down. It looks like it went down from a while ago because I thought he was about an 88 just a little while ago after, but they must have knocked him a little bit for decommitting. So I thought he was but anyways, interesting kid. I have a crystal ball in for him from BC. If you're on 24/7, you know that crystal ball means I believe he's going to commit. I get a little lower on this one because I don't know anything specific. It's just everything that's lining up. It just seems like he's going to be a BC player. 6'6", 200 pounds. To me, that strikes me as a tight end. But maybe he'll play defense. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Another name, this was one that has been out for a while. We knew this one for a bit, is Charles White. Now, Charles White is rated an 87 as well. He is from Michigan, so that tells you why he has. I don't think he's been on campus. I don't remember him being on campus for this spring. But he's doing 3 official visits right now: Boston College, Kansas, and Michigan State. So you got some decent schools that you're competing against. I know he loves BC, and BC gets him first. I like that. There's something about official visit season getting the kids earlier, because a lot of times if a kid falls in love with a school and they're one of the first ones, they can't hold out. They'll just recommit that very soon. Like I had so many kids last year that they had BC early. They'll commit and then cancel all their other official visits. So to me, the timing sometimes seems like a big deal. Like the kid that you get earlier, so a lot of times our kids, you might get more out of those classes. That being said, you do get some kids that'll do the whole process, but you get White early. I like that. So he's a linebacker, and we already have a linebacker with Griffin Collins, but I think I would speak. I'm not speaking out of turn with BC fans that say that BC could use a whole bunch of new linebackers or more that do what a linebacker typically does. And that's one. A new name that I was completely not stunned by, but I just didn't know him, was Carmine Orozco out of Mishawaka, Indiana. Now he's coming early too. And this is a kid, he is a defensive lineman. I'm not sure what they're going to play him as. He's got great size. He's 6'4", 272. He's a 3-star, rated an 86. One of the top recruits in Indiana. I don't believe he has another official visit set yet. So BC could be in really good shape with Carmine Orozco, a kid out of Indiana. So that's, you're getting some decent players here. Then you have Deontay Lindsay. And 247, I got to fix up his profile a little bit, but he's a cornerback out of Ada, Oklahoma. Oklahoma's been a name I've heard a bit about from BC, this grouping. I think they're looking at a quarterback from there too. He's going to be taking official visits to, I believe, BC, Texas Tech, Utah, and there's a 4th team, and I don't know who that is because the profile is not complete. But he's got 4 Power 5 offers. He's not rated yet, but he's a big, lengthy cornerback at 6'2", kind of like that. So that's something to watch for. And then Tommy Rupley. I wanted to give you an update on him because he's got his official visit to BC, but he's the end of June, which I didn't like. But the last piece I wanted to talk about was that he's got his date for June 21st. Now, in a moment, we got more recruiting news. I will get into all of that on Monday's episode. But we're going to talk about hockey, who had a tough going in their first matchup, but were able to pull off a big win. This episode is brought to you by Manscaped. After using Manscaped, I can finally say I have caught the spring fever. Introducing the Spring Champs, the Season Champs, the Lawnmower 5.0. Their 5th century trimmer features 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little off the top, and a new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. I love this thing because it comes with a compact case. I can take it wherever I go. Whether you're looking to craft your signature look or clean up that neckline, these are always the right tools for the job. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code LOCKEDON at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code LOCKEDON at manscaped.com. Nothing like a little spring cleaning in your pants. Introducing Bettor Together. Is your bracket busted, but you want to stay in the game? Bettor Together is the place to go. It's the first cooperative daily fantasy platform where teamwork triumphs talent and you can play with your friends, not against them. Pick more or less on real-time player stats, strategize with your partner to boost your odds, and climb the leaderboard together. So grab a friend and join the social DFS movement. It's so easy to use. You can find me on Bettor Together at AJBlack247. It's a way to stay connected with your friends and want to watch the sports together when you can't watch the sports together in person. If you're like me, a lot of my friends are spread around the country. We talk on text message. We're talking about our DFS and all the good things that are going on in sports, but on text messages. Now you can do it together. You can pool your knowledge together and you can win on Bettor Together. So download Bettor Together today from the App Store and sign up using promo code Locked On for a chance to win your share of over $1,000 in cash prizes. Play with me in a contest on Sunday. Remember the code Locked On because winning alone is fun, but it's better together. This is Locked On Boston College. AJ Black, editor of Eagle Insider. If you're a part of Eagle Insider, you know about the great work BC hockey blogger, our writer, has done. But he had a great article about Friday's game against Michigan Tech. Boston College had a tough going, and I was worried watching this. But Boston College ends up winning 6-1 against Michigan State. Just another example of what this team can do. So you go into this game. Let's talk about the game itself. You're playing in Providence. Michigan Tech had a good fan base at this game, which is impressive. Good for them. The Huskies had good, I think they sent their band too. Good following there. The game starts off right away with a big, quick goal by Cutter Gauthier on an assist by Jelvik and Powell. 36 seconds into this game. And if you're a Boston College fan, you're going, oh, this is it. This is going to be an easy one. This Michigan Tech, who's that? And you're feeling confident. You're feeling kind of cocky. I would say I was feeling a little bit that way too. But credit to the Huskies because they took advantage and Jacob Fowler, who had, I think, 32 saves in this game, saved their butts because the defense was sloppy. There were lots of turnovers. BC was giving the puck over way too much and kept, Michigan Tech scored 12 minutes into the game on Max Kaskarparity. He needs more vowels in his name. Shorthanded goal. And then all of a sudden, you're going into the first intermission going, this is feeling kind of uncomfortable. You go into the second period, you're still feeling it because BC's not doing anything. And they're not able to get things going. And you just saw UMass get beat up and fall apart with some some tough defense. And you're wondering, is BC going to do the same thing? But credit to BC, Ryan Leonard, again. This guy has been a monster all year. And the play that he made, the way that he dominated, when he's out there sometimes, he just dominates the ice. And he did it again here with an assist from Jack Malone, who had 2 assists in this game, and Aiden Herchuk. feeling better, but still 2-1, still feeling a little bit iffy going into the third period. But that's when BC woke up. The sleeping giant came awake. Thank God it did, because you had a goal from Connor Joyce, you had a goal from Oscar Jelvik, and a goal from Ryan Leonard, all within 3 minutes of each other. And that was incredible. And I got to take a step back, because I also forgot the biggest moment of this game, which was for the second straight game, BC gets a 5-minute major game, and this time it's a game misconduct for Gabe Perreault, who made a monster hit and got charged for a big time penalty, but they shut it down. They were able to end that penalty, and that on itself made going into the second period feeling a little better. But then as I just said, 4 goals, bing, 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 over. That was it. That's the thing with BC. When you let the floodgates open with this team, when you let them start to find their rhythm, they can tear a team apart in seconds. Because for 40 minutes of this game, Michigan Tech was as good, or as BC Hockey Blogger said, possibly even better than BC. And it just took BC to hit that next level, and they just wiped the floor with them in that third period. Cutter Gauthier hits the 6th goal, and that's it. So Ryan Leonard ends the game with 4 points, 2 assists. Powell has a trio of assists, and Gauthier had an assist to go with 3 points. Again, this seemed like trap game written all over it. Like the game, like in years past, when you had, I was saying to this with Hockey Blogger last week, when you have a team that has some younger players, you're wondering if they're going to run into a team that could beat them up a little bit. And Michigan Tech did for 40 minutes, but they didn't have enough talent to do it for 60. And BC ends up grabbing that big win. And again, you can't undersell what Jacob Fowler did in this game. You can't undersell what Jacob Fowler has done all year. I mean, this guy has been phenomenal. And he had 23 saves. I got it backwards in my head. 23 saves. What a win. And by the end, Michigan Tech was gooning it up. There was fights. There was all sorts of stuff. Whatever. They're gone. Next up for BC is Quinnipiac. And this is the second time Boston College gets Quinnipiac this season. They played them earlier in the year and won 2-1. They're the defending national champions. You know, there's that Omar Little saying, if you want to go for the king, you best not miss. Right now, BC is not the king yet. Quinnipiac is. You got to not miss on this one. Quinnipiac won in overtime. I think they won in overtime against Wisconsin on Friday night. They're a good team too, and they're battle tested. This is going to be tough. BC barely beat them that first time. I think it was 9 seconds left in overtime when they scored the game winner. They're going to have to put things together here if they're going to win this. And, you know, hopefully they don't have that 40 minutes where they look disjointed again, because Quinnipiac's better than Michigan Tech. So we'll have to wait and see. But in terms of Hockey East, Maine's out. UMass is out. BU is not out as the time of this recording, but there's only BC and BU left in the Hockey East. Let's see how things go out there. In our final segment, I want to get into baseball, because baseball had a big weekend themselves. I'll explain why in just a moment. This week's March Madness Bracket highlight is brought to you by our friends at Nissan. Each week, we're picking one team that stands out, a team that pushed it further than the rest, just like any and all of the new 2024 Nissan SUVs. These guys were able to take it to the next level. The Alabama Crimson Tide can only be described as a Pathfinder. They've been thrilling to watch and have really created a lane for themselves entering the tournament as one of the hottest teams in the country. After taking down North Carolina in the Sweet 16, they'll look to battle Clemson to earn a trip to the Final Four for the first time in program history. So take the Nissan Rogue, the Nissan Pathfinder, or the Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop Nissan USA today. This is Locked On BC. I'm your host, AJ Black. And also this weekend, besides hockey, which is, you know, playing Quinnipiac on Sunday, we had some BC baseball too. And BC baseball just came off the heels of an interesting last week. They got swept and pounded by Virginia Tech last weekend, but then beat a pretty good UConn team on Wednesday. Well, they're on the heels right now of making it 4 in a row after traveling to Atlanta and sweeping Georgia Tech. Now, Georgia Tech going into the series was 16-7. Not a bad team. They were 3-3 in the ACC. You know, they're right up there as a potential top 25 team. The fact that BC went down there and swept them, I think, was really impressive. Right now, one of the biggest performances this weekend. You get BC's hitting. BC right now, as the time of recording, is up 11-2 over over Georgia Tech. But I was listening to the Friday game, and you had John West pitching, and John West threw 8 innings and threw for 117 pitches in a game where BC easily won. It actually didn't easily win, but they won in extra innings. Great play by the catcher, Parker Landwar, who had 2-run single in the top of the 10th to give them the lead, and then a safety squeeze that made it 5-2. BC loves to run the ball. I mean, run, man. This is a running team. It's crazy to watch, and I know some fans really don't like it, but that's been kind of their thing. They're super, super aggressive on the base paths. And a great win. They also won on Friday, beating Georgia Tech as well. As I just said, they were up 11-2 last time I checked on today's game. They won on Thursday 10-3. So just like BC for 2 out of the 3 games dominated Georgia Tech at home, put up 10 plus runs on the road, and honestly 3 really good pitching performances, which has been kind of the knock on this team. Michael Farinelli on Thursday pitched pretty well, and you had more big hits and more wang bangs and all that kind of stuff over this weekend as well. So big weekend for BC baseball. BC softball, I want to give them a shout out. They beat a top 25 Clemson team on Friday. Congrats to them. And and then BC women's lacrosse, they defeated UNC, who is always a good women's lacrosse team. So good weekend all around for BC sports. No news on BC basketball as of right now in terms of transfer portal. Still quiet, which I still am kind of shocked about. We're almost a week away from when BC got knocked out, and we have not heard a single name in the transfer portal. BC's been very active reaching out to transfers. So they've got to be losing somebody. We just haven't heard who that's going to be yet. So I hope you all have a great Easter. This is AJ Black, host of Locked On BC. I'm the only daily Boston College podcast out there. We do this 5 days a week while we're in season. And I love talking BC sports. I hope you guys enjoy this. If you do, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And please give us a 5-star review if you're on Apple or Google. Those 5 stars help a ton. Thank you so much. And if you're on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button before you head out too. Thank you so much. And we'll see you all again for Monday's new episode of Locked On Boston College, your team every day.